We have on the show today, with us today, Michelle Alley Grubb of Peaceful Prairie Sanctuary in Colorado. Peaceful Prairie is a nonprofit organization that provides safe, loving, and permanent homes for rescued farm animals, as well as promotes vegan living as the most effective way to reduce the suffering and exploitation of animals. And in doing so, Peaceful Prairie has made a leap out to here in Vancouver, Canada recently, as they are responsible for the Go Vegan Now bus ads that have been seen popping up on public transit buses around the city for over a month now, and are continuing on until December. Michelle is here to speak with us today about this campaign and some of the other work that Peaceful Prairie is engaged in. Hello, Michelle, and welcome to the Animal Voices show.
Hi, Pat. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to speak with you. Now, can you start by telling us a bit about Peaceful Prairie Sanctuary? When did you start the sanctuary and why?
Well, my husband and I had been vegan for years, and then in 1997 we bought a rural property in Colorado. Up until that point, we'd been doing cat rescue, feral cat rescue, and some wildlife rescue and rehabilitation. But then some friends of ours were moving from Maryland to Colorado, and they had rescued farmed animals and needed a place for them to stay temporarily while they were getting their place fixed up in Colorado. So we took in their rescued farmed animals, and it became pretty quickly apparent to us that we should be focusing all of our resources on farmed animal rescue and advocacy through vegan advocacy as well, because, just comparatively speaking, very few resources are dedicated to farmed animals when their plight is just so huge compared to some other issues. So that's how we started Peaceful Prairie.
That's definitely true about the farmed animal situation. How many animals do you have at your sanctuary, and what kinds of farm animals do you have?
Well, the number varies. It's usually around 200.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. But yesterday, one of our dear old goats died, and his name was Tolstoy. He was almost 18 years old, but he would have been brutally slaughtered at a much younger age had he not been rescued. So there's one less today, but that also means that someone new will be coming into our lives in no time, I'm sure. And the sanctuary consists of chickens and ducks and geese and turkeys, peafowl, goats, sheep, llamas, cows, steers, farmed pigs, potbelly pigs.
So you have the whole gamut, really. That's, wow.
It's an eclectic group.
Typically, what kinds of situations are you rescuing them from? Are you going to slaughterhouses? Are you finding them at auctions or on the sides of the road? How are you getting these animals?
Well, I'd say the vast majority of the residents here have been rescued from dairy and egg operations, whether they're these small backyard operations or the larger conventional so-called factory farmed and everything in between. We do investigations of the free-range and cage-free, especially because that is such a popular thing, and most people are under the impression, the false impression, that that is something that's humane and better for the animals, and we are knowing firsthand that that's not the case. So those hens are considered spent when they're not even 2 years old, and they are mass murdered. So as they're switching out flocks and bringing in a whole new set of victims, we're often able to rescue some from those situations. We get calls galore from people setting up their own backyard operations and then discovering that they've got roosters. And, of course, roosters don't lay eggs, only hens do. So roosters are either mass murdered at the hatcheries, or the ones that make it through are killed on farms. And then even when people set up these small backyard operations, they either don't want them or can't have them legally. So roosters are just being disposed of, killed, abandoned left and right. So all of that happens, and of course in the dairy operations, the babies are just a byproduct, and with goats they tend to have twins. So a lactating goat will have, maybe 4 babies in a year, and they're constantly being killed and taken to auction and abandoned and all of these other things. So unfortunately, the opportunities for rescue are far greater than even our abilities to rescue most of them. But some lucky individuals make it to the sanctuary, and for each one of them, they're representing the billions more that don't.
And they do sound very lucky. So I know that you've run newspaper ad campaigns in the past in the United States, but this is the first time you've done an ad campaign in Canada. Can you tell us how you got involved and organized to run these ads in Vancouver? And please tell us exactly about the ads themselves. What words and images are exactly depicted on these ads?
Well, there are a couple activists there in Vancouver who have recently started their organization called One Voice, and they contacted us. They were familiar, especially with the Milk Comes from a Grieving Mother. We've got that in a bumper sticker. We've also used it in other ad campaigns, and that they found that one especially compelling because it has the close-up picture of this mother cow who just has this very bereft look on her face. And just like if you look at another human being, even if you don't speak their language, if they are in distress and are desperate for help and are suffering, you can look right into that face, and it just speaks volumes. So the same is true of this poor mother cow. And so then the tagline reads, "Milk comes from a grieving mother," because most people don't even realize that she has to be a mother in order for her to be lactating. And then we've got the Go Vegan Now website at the bottom for them to go and learn more. So these activists were familiar with that campaign. They knew that we had run it in other places. They wanted to see it on the Vancouver buses, and we were thrilled to help make that happen.
That's just wonderful, and they are getting seen here around town. I think you have 10 of the large ones on the outside of the buses and 50 on the insides of the buses. Is that correct?
That's right, and the other ad is a close-up of a hen's face, and she's looking right at you as you're reading it, and the line says, "To you it's only a taste, to her it's life itself. Go vegan now." So, like the Milk Comes from a Grieving Mother, it really it speaks from their perspective. That's all they want. They are sentient beings like any of us. They don't want to be exploited, especially for something that is just a fleeting pleasure for a human and is literally their life and their babies' lives.
I'm curious to know, did you receive any hesitancy to run these ads from the ad company that works for TransLink? Because I know that they were not willing to run similar animal welfare ads that the Vancouver Humane Society wanted to display in the SkyTrain several years ago. So it's kind of surprising to me that these ads were allowed. Were they hesitant at all in running these advertisements with these provocative images and words?
Well, I really wasn't involved much in the negotiations for them. The activists in Vancouver were dealing with the ad representatives there, and they got it done. There, as far as I know, there wasn't hesitancy, so we were really happy to make it work. And I would just want to clarify real quickly: these I would not consider animal welfare ads. The distinction being that animal welfare does condone animal use just as long as it's done in certain methods. These are animal rights ads, so the Go Vegan message is that it's not humane to use animals under any circumstances for human use, and that we just want the public to understand that if they do have empathy for these animals, that going vegan is what they can do.
Yeah, that's my next question. Why the abolitionist approach in your messages? It's, these messages and images are probably the first time that many people are just even thinking about this kind of stuff. Do you think it's too much of a leap to show the grieving mothers and then say, go vegan now? Do you think the general public is ready for this?
I think they have to be told that. I think anything else would be a waste of our resources and a disservice to the animals. I mean, that is something, I wish I had known those truths, first off. I mean, the information is power, and that information about what happens to animals, as long as there is inherent cruelty, and no matter what the method of production is. And so it's our job as advocates to speak for the animals, let the general public know that they're contributing to it or not. Now, at what rate they go vegan, if they go vegan, that's up to them, but we would not be telling them the truth, and we would not be advocating for the animals if we were telling them anything else. So the Go Vegan Now message is it's just like, don't beat your child. there's not an in-between way to do that.
Yes, don't beat your child less. It's just don't beat your child at all.
Exactly. Right. And like any other advocacy for any other oppressed group or victim, an advocate really needs to be advocating for that victim, and yeah, I absolutely think just like the public can understand it's not okay to, even though some people still beat their children, they understand when they're told that it's not okay why they're being told that.
So why place these ads on buses? Like, that's like really mainstream. And I know you've had other ads in major newspapers in the States. Is this a form of outreach that you feel is reaching a segment of society that wouldn't otherwise be reached by your organization, or even maybe other similar organizations for that matter?
Well, it's one of our many tools in our toolboxes, and so when we can get something big like that up in, whether it's a newspaper or a billboard or on buses, just numbers-wise, we're going to reach more people. And also, you're kind of reaching them in their comfort zone, especially when they're commuting. We do tabling, and so do the activists with One Voice. And actually, you can contact them. We've got their contact information on our website.
I have contacted them. I met them.
Oh, okay, great.
And that's how I got in contact with you, actually.
Yeah. Well, they've been doing tabling up there too. So all of us have lots of different ways that we can be advocating for the animals. So it's really, when we can get these big ads up in big public places, obviously you're going to reach many more people with the message, or have the potential to reach many more people with that message. And then there's follow-up through one-on-one, internet, all these other things too.
Yeah, and as for follow-up, I'm just curious about what kind of feedback, what the feedback has been like since these bus ads have been launched. I know you're directing people to go to your website. So, for example, have you been tracking the web analytics to see how many hits you've been getting from Vancouver?
We started just paying more attention, and yeah, it was pretty immediate on the 4th, which I think was October 4th was the first day that they ran. Suddenly there was a big surge in web hits from the Vancouver area, and most were coming from searches.
Wonderful to hear.
Yeah, and when they come from searches, that tells us that it's not somebody just getting a link and passing a link on. It's someone who went in. So that's what our website is getting. Then we have email requests for more information. But also, I'm sure what's happening too is when people they might just have the word vegan in their head, and maybe that's what they remembered, and so they'll go home and they'll type in the word vegan, and who knows where they'll land. Fortunately, with the internet, there's just information galore. So, yeah, it's just getting the word vegan as part of their vocabulary, demystifying it, and giving that basic ethical information just from the get-go. How they pursue that information, I mean, there are just myriad ways for them to do so, but we have definitely seen an increase in web traffic and much more people joining our email list and requesting more info and all of that.
That's definitely good to hear. It's really encouraging for other groups, say in Vancouver, just to know that this kind of advertising really does work. So quickly, before we end this talk, you have some other wonderful campaigns that I've seen on your website, and one that I specifically would like to briefly mention, which I absolutely love, is your email signature billboards campaign. It's absolutely one of the easiest forms of vegan outreach that an individual, and even the most modest individual, can carry out in their daily lives. Can you quickly tell us about the email signature billboards?
Well, Joanna Lucas is the creative genius behind all of those email signatures. She's also designed The Milk Comes from a Grieving Mother and The Life Itself, and she's written much more in-depth portraits of the sanctuary residents on our blog. So she has made so many things available to people online, whether it's the email signatures, and as you've seen, there's something for everybody on those email signatures.
Yeah.
You can rotate them. We also have a lot of downloadable literature. People can order the literature. We've got videos and the blog and all of that other things, all of those other things. And as you said, there is something for everybody, but that's just it. Everybody should be doing something because the animals need every one of us.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that there's a link to your email signatures page on our website, animalvoices.org. It's also at your website, peacefulprairie.org, because I just love them. It's something that it's so easy to do. There's beautiful pictures, beautiful messages. As you said, something for everyone. I think you have almost 60 of them on there, which is like just
wonderful. It was hard to choose.
Yeah, I know. I chose two actually. One for my replies and one for my new emails, which you can set on Outlook. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's just great. So what can people do to support the wonderful work that you are doing at Peaceful Prairie?
Well, they can, of course, donate, because I want to tell you, everybody here at Peaceful Prairie donates their time and their skills and everything. We are an all-volunteer organization, and I can guarantee you will get your bang for your buck if you donate to Peaceful Prairie, because we put every penny that we've got into the individual animal care, into these varied and compelling ad campaigns and advocacy campaigns, and we're always coming up with new outreach materials. And we will put every cent of it, and then some, all of ours, our time, our money, our energy, our emotional, physical, you name it. We're putting all of this into this every single day. So anything that can be added to that will grow exponentially for the animals, I guarantee you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Michelle, to tell us about Peaceful Prairie Sanctuary and some of the good work you are doing there, and also here in Vancouver. For more information on Peaceful Prairie Sanctuary, please visit peacefulprairie.org. Thanks again, Michelle.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Just a reminder that you are listening to the Animal Voices radio show on 102.7 Co-op Radio in Vancouver, BC, Canada.